That squishing and tearing sound you may have heard recently was Square Enix putting their hooks back into me. These days it's not uncommon to hear of an ambitious new MMORPG failing just a couple years or a single year or less after its initial release. Final Fantasy XI, on the other hand, has been going strong enough to justify a brand new expansion, and with this release an all-inclusive bundle pack, just a couple months shy of the game's 11th birthday. And it's a jarring feeling this game I've been playing for 9 years and change suddenly has brand new zones, new monsters, entirely new gameplay mechanics, a new city, 2 new classes for the first time in 6 years, and of course a new plot-mandated cute girl. After traipsing all over the Middle Lands, Ottergon, and various alternate dimensions and timelines, it's time to head westward to the nation of Adoulin, a regular boomtown coming to grips with its impending overpopulation. Sure, there's a massive expanse of wilds just a bit further west, but the land doesn't take kindly to these development efforts. In fact, said wilds are almost sentient and mercilessly brutal to all intruders. Thus, Adoulin's opened its gates to any explorers interested in beating nature into submission, with the promise of cash and prizes to those successful in the colonization effort. Thus, murder hobos abound, destroying wildlife willy-nilly in new co-op events called reeves, which fittingly is from an old Scottish word meaning to rob or plunder. There are 3 kinds: lair reeves, which destroy hotspots of monster activity, colonization reeves, which destroy constantly regrowing terrain impediments, and wildscaper reeves, which pit all comers, and I do mean all comers with no upper bound on occupancy, against giant guardians of the land. Fortunately, these adventurers are fortified with a sweet-ass bass guitar line. But enough of that, you want to know about these new jobs, don't you? Well, buckle up for support and kinda tanking. Geomancers are area effect distributing support mages who can have 2 effects going simultaneously, one local to their own body and one local to a big glowy sphere thing they can cast on an enemy or another character. These effects can buff, but their greatest benefits are in debuffing, as geomantic effects are constant within a given area instead of having to be cast on a mob and potentially resisted. Also, area elemental magic is included in the package, as well as a strange job trait that modifies spells for greater accuracy, effect, or critical chance, depending on which direction you're casting it into. Yes, very weird. While the Geomancer's local spells are purchased like any old scroll, the external versions, utilizing the glowy sphere that's very difficult to pronounce, have to be tracked down in the wild by knowing the purchasable version, being above a certain level, and finding the correct point in Vanadil. Rune Fencers, on the other hand, feel like red mages on steroids, forgoing their debuffing magic in favor of self-enhancing spells and greatswords. Through the use of runes, they can deal bonus elemental damage with each hit, increase their and their allies' magic resistance to insane levels, or blow all of the runes for a massive magic burstable attack. You know, if people still did those. But for all the slick innovations, like being able to bounce around all the Adoulin zones at will for a mere pittance of crystals, this new content feels like good old grindfest Final Fantasy XI all over again. You may notice that I didn't have footage from Wildscaper Reeves earlier in this review. That's because the entry to such battlefields costs an egregious amount of the local currency. Sure, there's plenty of ways to obtain Bailed, but there's twice as many things you'll want to spend it on, from maps to armor to crap to make your armor better. Missions suffer a similarly egregious fate, with your progress completely halted for a week and change while you churn through quests and complete coalition assignments, only to witness a few cutscenes and then bam, back to the wait. Of course, that's when there are missions to do. As with the last several expansions, the content for Seekers of Adoulin is still being developed and pushed out in monthly or so updates. Heck, Geomancers and Rune Fencers don't even have their artifact armor yet, for the 5 minutes or so they'll spend between levels 60 and 99. If you've never played Final Fantasy XI before, really, there's no time like the present. And if you've gone away, perhaps in favor of Final Fantasy XIV, you maniacs, well, your Moogle is still waiting there for you to come home, spinning, as always.